They say the sound of a gunshot freezes time. But what froze my world was the scream of my disabled daughter echoing across the playground. I didn't run. I didn't shout. Because in that exact second, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't an accident. This was hate dressed up as authority. And the woman holding that weapon? She had no idea who I was, or how badly she had miscalculated. It was supposed to be an ordinary afternoon. My daughter Lily sat in her adaptive wheelchair near the playground swings, sunlight catching in her hair as she laughed at the other kids racing past her. Her disability never stopped her from loving life, she just loved it differently. I stood a short distance away, watching quietly, like I always did. Years of training had taught me awareness. Years of fatherhood had taught me patience. That day, both would be tested. She arrived like a storm without rain. Perfect posture. Arms crossed. Eyes scanning not for safety, but for control. HOA Karen. She had complained before. About Lily's wheelchair. About liability. About rules. Today, her stare wasn't just annoyed. It was hostile. You can't have her here, Karen snapped, pointing at my daughter. I stepped forward calmly. She has every right to be here. Karen smirked. This playground is for able children. The air went cold. Parents fell silent. Kids stopped laughing. And Lily, she looked at me with fear in her eyes. Karen pulled out her phone. I've already called the authorities, she said loudly. This ends today. But what she did next, no one expected. She reached into her bag. The crowd gasped. I didn't move. Because in that moment, training took over. A loud crack shattered the air. Parents screamed. Children ran. Lily cried out, terrified, unharmed but shaking. The shot hadn't hit her. But it had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. Karen stood frozen. And that's when I finally spoke. Put it down, I said calmly. Karen laughed nervously. You don't scare me. I took one step forward. I'm not trying to scare you. I looked straight into her eyes. I'm trying to stop you. The sound of sirens cut through the chaos. Not loud. Not frantic. Controlled. The kind of sound that told me trained professionals were arriving. Karen's confidence cracked. Her shoulders stiffened, her eyes darting from the crying children to the parents recording on their phones. She took a step back, as if distance could undo what she had done. It couldn't. I stayed kneeling beside Lily, one hand on her shoulder. Daddy. I was scared, she whispered. I know, I said softly. But you're safe now. And I meant it. 2 patrol cars pulled in near the playground. Officers stepped out calmly, hands visible, eyes sharp. They scanned the scene the way trained people do, not looking for drama, but for danger. Karen immediately raised her voice. She attacked me, she shouted, pointing wildly. That man threatened me. This child shouldn't even be here. The officer nearest her didn't react. Instead, he looked at the crowd. Anyone injured? No, a parent said. But she fired a shot. Karen froze. Just for a second. But it was enough. One officer approached me. Sir, can you stand up slowly? I did it slowly, deliberately. I kept my hands visible, my posture relaxed. My daughter is disabled, I said calmly. She was targeted. A shot was fired in her direction. The officer nodded. He had heard the same story too many times before, and he knew who the aggressor was. Karen interrupted again. He's lying. I'm HOA president. This is private property. That was the moment she lost them. Because authority doesn't need to be announced. Another officer approached Karen. Ma'am, please place the item on the ground. I don't have to, she snapped. I know my rights. But her hands were shaking. And the crowd was watching. She hesitated, then slowly lowered her bag. The officer retrieved the weapon carefully. No shouting. No drama. Just procedure. Karen's face drained of color. An officer turned to me again. Sir, do you know her? Yes, I said. She's been harassing my daughter for months. Parents nodded. One stepped forward. She records the kids. Always complains. Especially about that little girl. Karen spun around. You traitors! That word echoed louder than she expected. Because now, she wasn't in charge anymore. Karen tried one last play. She looked directly at me and smirked. You think this scares me, she said. My lawyers will bury you. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten her. I simply said, you shouldn't have done this in public. Her smile faded. More vehicles arrived. Not local. Unmarked. Quiet. Purposeful. The officer's posture changed. They stepped straighter. Spoke more carefully. Karen noticed. Why are there so many police? She demanded. No one answered her. A senior officer approached me. Sir, he said quietly, can we speak over here? I nodded. We stepped a few feet away. I leaned in slightly and said 6 words. I'm former military. Long range. His eyes sharpened. What unit? I gave him the answer. He swallowed. Yes, sir. The senior officer turned back toward Karen. His tone changed. Ma'am, you are being detained. Karen laughed, nervous, high-pitched. For what? For discharging a weapon near a minor, he said evenly. And for attempted endangerment. Her knees buckled. This is ridiculous. I run this HOA. No one laughed. No one cared. As officers gently but firmly guided her away, Karen looked back at me. You think you've won, she spat. I met her eyes. This was never a game. That's when she realized something else was wrong. I wasn't angry. I wasn't emotional. I was controlled. That scared her more than shouting ever could. Lily held my hand tightly. Daddy, are we going home? Yes, I said. But first, you're very brave. She wiped her tears. I was scared, but I didn't cry loud. I smiled. You don't have to be strong all the time, I told her. I'll do that part. Paramedics insisted on checking Lily. She hated it, the lights, the questions. But she cooperated. Because she trusted me. The medic smiled. She's okay, he said. Relief washed through the parents around us. Karen saw that too. And it destroyed the last piece of her story. Phones were everywhere now. Videos. Audio. Everything. Karen screaming. Karen pointing. Karen firing. You can't argue with recordings. You can't intimidate a camera. An officer approached me once more. She'll be charged, he said quietly. And the HOA, it's going to be investigated. I nodded. That's all I want, I said. Justice. Not revenge. As we walked away, parents made space. Some apologized. Some thanked us. One mother whispered, I'm so sorry she did this to your child. I squeezed Lily's hand. She'll be okay, I said. But Karen wouldn't be. Karen had lost control. The truth was out. And the consequences were only beginning. By the time we reached home, the shock had settled into something heavier. Silence. Lily sat quietly by the window, watching the trees pass as if she were trying to understand how a normal day had turned into something terrifying. I didn't push her to talk. Some wounds need air, not questions. That night, I barely slept. Not because of fear, but because I knew what was coming. Within 48 hours, the charges were public. Not rumors. Not exaggerations. Real. Serious. Permanent. Discharging a weapon near a minor. Endangering a disabled child. Abuse of authority. False reporting. Violation of civil rights. The list was longer than Karen ever imagined. The HOA board released a statement the same day, distancing themselves, suspending her immediately. Power evaporates fast when the law steps in. The courtroom was quiet when Karen walked in. No dramatic entrance. No confident posture. Just a woman who had finally realized that shouting didn't work everywhere. She didn't look at me at first. Then she did. And for the first time, there was no anger in her eyes. Only fear. Witness after witness spoke. Parents. Officers. Medical responders. They didn't exaggerate. They didn't speculate. They told the truth. And the truth didn't need decoration. When video footage played, Karen lowered her head. She didn't argue. She didn't interrupt. She just watched herself lose everything. I wasn't required to testify. But I chose to. Not as a professional. Not as someone with a past. As a father. I didn't come here for revenge, I said calmly. I came here because my daughter deserves to feel safe. I paused. No parent should have to explain why their child belongs in a public space. The courtroom stayed silent. That kind of silence means people are listening. Later, when asked about my background, I kept it brief. I've spent my life trained to stay calm under pressure, I said. That day, I didn't need skills. I looked toward Lily. I just needed to be her dad. The judge nodded. That was enough. The HOA didn't survive the scrutiny. Investigations uncovered years of selective enforcement. Targeting. Harassment. Families came forward at stories they'd been afraid to tell. Karen wasn't the cause. She was the exposure. The HOA board dissolved within months. Before sentencing, Karen asked to speak. Her voice shook. I thought I was protecting my community, she said. I didn't know. She stopped. Because now she did. The judge responded calmly. Authority without compassion becomes cruelty. Her sentence followed. Firm. Fair. Unavoidable. Weeks passed. Then months. Lily returned to the playground. The same swings. The same sunshine. But something had changed. Parents smiled differently now. Children played freely. And no one questioned her presence. She belonged. Always had. As Lily laughed on the adaptive swing, she looked at me and said, Daddy, she can't hurt anyone now, right? No, I said softly. She can't. She smiled. That smile was worth everything. I never celebrated what happened. I didn't feel victorious. Justice isn't loud. It's calm. Measured. Protective. And that day, justice chose a little girl who just wanted to play. Some people mistake power for permission. But real power? It knows when to stop and who to protect. The end.